Hello and welcome to the news for today, October 10th, 2025. We're live on I'm Jamaica Gospel Radio Station. This is Stephano Palmer. Good afternoon. The headlines are as follows. Prime Minister flags contractor role in meeting capital budget growth targets. Father in Bahamas to be sentenced for beating 10-year-old son over bad grade. In sports, we have to be at our very best. Coach McLaren warns of crucial danger expects strong performance from the boys. On the international scene, 7.6 magnitude earthquake strikes offshore from southern Philippines and may cause tsunami. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government's ability to execute its capital works program depends heavily on the efficiency and performance of contractors engaged in the process. Holness made the remarks yesterday during a tour of the $2.3 billion St. Catherine North Divisional Police Headquarters, now under construction in Spanish Town. The state of the art facility is one of the major capital projects being undertaken by the government this financial year. The Prime Minister's comments follow a recent report from the Independent Fiscal Commission (IFC), which flagged the government for falling short of its projected capital project rollout. The IFC noted that continued under execution of the capital budget could result in missed revenue targets, posing risks to sustainable economic growth. There are many issues that would cause the underutilization of the capital budget, but the one that is of interest to us is how contractors execute projects and the speed in which they execute projects, Holness said. In other words, contractors are an integral part of the development plan. We tend to look at contractors as secondary to the process, he added, noting that if they don't perform, the budget cannot be expanded and growth of the country is slow. End quote. Holness disclosed the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development is developing a policy to support and build the capacity of local contractors as the government seeks new and more efficient contracting partners to drive its development agenda. A 41-year-old father in the Bahamas is to be sentenced in a magistrate court on December 10 after he pleaded guilty to beating his 10-year-old child over a bad grade at school. The father appeared before Magistrate Abigail Farrington on Thursday, where he pleaded guilty to the charge of cruelty to children, which occurred earlier this month. The court heard that on October 7, the teacher had noticed that the child was not standing up properly during the pledge and took him to the guidance counselor. He told the teacher that his father had beaten him and she noticed bruises on his forearms. The father told the magistrate that he had been called to the school repeatedly concerning his son's poor performance. The magistrate had ordered a social inquiry report before sentencing the father, who has been released on his own reconnaissance on December 10. In sports, head coach of the Reggae Boys, Steve McLaren, said they will need to be their very best when they take to the Gilio Hato Stadium to face Curacao today, in the final round of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Jamaica are set to face Curacao in a top-of-the-table clash at 6 p.m. Jamaica time in their third match of the Group B action. The boys led the group with 6 points and a perfect record at Curacao sit second with 4. Trinidad and Tobago are third with 1 point, and Bermuda are rooted at the foot of the table without a point. McLaren said the team would need to put in their best performance, yet if they are to get all 3 points against a strong Curacao team, we have to be at our very best to get a result, McLaren said. And internationally, an offshore earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 7.6 hit off a southern Philippine province Friday morning. A hazardous tsunami was possible nearby. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said it was expecting damage and aftershocks from the earthquake, which was centered at sea about 62 kilometers southeast of Manay Town in the Oriental province and was caused by movement in a fault at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers, that's 6 miles. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Honolulu said hazardous waves were possible within 300 kilometers of the epicenter. It said waves up to 3 meters, that's 10 feet, above normal tides were possible on some Philippine coasts near the epicenter. Smaller waves were possible in Indonesia and Palau. The Philippines is still recovering from a September 30 earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 that left at least 74 people dead and displaced thousands of people in the central province of Cebu, particularly Bogo City and outlying towns. That's the news for today, October 10, 2025. Good afternoon.